If you have a Dell computer, or you mention a product and it's sitting on the desk, you don't make any reference to it, but it's there, the logo's there, are you as the producer obligated to say, that's a paid, that computer's sitting there because it's paid for?
Yeah, we spoofed the whole thing. We had to drag it out of Lindsay. It was a show, there was like 3 shows in a row where we were trying to convince her to get rid of the Apple. And so we try and work it in a funny way, and you know, there were some funny shows with it. I mean, so yes, everybody knew we were switching, and this is why we were switching, because Dell was good enough to pay for that spot. And you know, did it work for Dell? I mean, a lot of people, like the first day, were like 50 comments about Dell sucks, but and you're a sellout. But you know, in the end, I mean, it took you know, that was cool for Dell to do that. I mean, why should we just, you know, Apple got a lot of free publicity out of what we were doing. Not that they didn't deserve it. I'm just saying, you know, we have a business to run, and if it doesn't intrude from the show, let's do it that way.
Okay. I want to get to some attendee questions too. So if there are any
easy ones, please, easy.
Somebody over here. We've got a microphone coming. We're going to get recorded, obviously. So make sure you wait for the mic.
Thanks so much for coming. I come from the syndication, TV broadcast syndication business. Did you ever consider completely avoiding and passing by the investors and their participation and their piece of the action and taking it to a production company or taking it to the CBS or to a network before you even began the whole podcast process?
No, never, because I didn't understand who I would call. The idea was just to make a show, stick it up there, and just keep doing it every day.
Because for the people in the room, there's a process whereby they could participate long-term in the show without being really physically present by selling the idea and selling the original concept and maintaining ownership.
Absolutely. It's just because I didn't come from I didn't have an agent, thank goodness, and I would never use an agent. They suck, but and they're the devil, and they're worse than real estate agents, but they're okay. It never crossed my mind because, first of all, I didn't have contacts in that space. Secondly, I thought that I'd be laughed out of the room. And thirdly, my goal was to get into that room by doing this and people saying, how did you do that? And to be quite honest, within the first 2 weeks, CNBC had us in their room, and it was one of the most horrific meetings of all time. They were just, they just don't get it. It was like a fist fight almost. It was awesome.
Did it feel like they were threatened?
And they still owe me $4,000, those pricks, because they made me stay a weekend, you know, blowing smoke up my ass, saying, "Oh, we love the show," and then I get in, they hadn't even seen the goddamn show. So TV should rot in hell. But I love TV.
We got one more back here, Tim.
Tim Street, French Made TV. As you went about building out your advertising inventory, did you stumble across anything that was working, not working, and do you see anything that you did in building your inventory that may become a standard in video advertising, online video?
Well, I don't think we've proven anything. So that's the good news and the bad news. Even though CBS has owned us for a few months, nothing's changed, right? We've got some sponsors, but we haven't proved anything. In terms of, so I don't know, I apologize that we just don't know. And that's scary. I mean, that's scary, but it's also, I'm optimistic.
Is the end post-roll, is that where you think it's going? I mean, or is it the overlays that we're seeing now at the beginning? What do you think is going to work the best? What do you think is going to be at the end?
I don't like the post-rolls because, first of all, they're long, and like you see, even though it's funny with Lindsay smoking a cigarette, like the implied that she just had, you know, sex with David Carlton. You looked at him, nobody was happy. He's like me. So I just think, you know, to change it, to have so many different ads, I just think it's too hard. I think you got to get creative within the show. And movies are starting to do it right now, and sometimes it's obnoxious because they're learning, and sometimes it's pretty cool. I mean, Jesus Christ, we use Apple computers. I don't mind seeing one in a movie. I don't mind because in real life, I'm carrying my laptop around all the time, too. So I think there's ways, or drinking an energy drink or a Starbucks. I mean, that is our life. Remember in the old movies, they'd white out the name, and that seemed sillier than right now.
And was it when, on the
So I think product placement, I think 2 to 3 second pre-rolls, and I think creative, and then just creative stuff burst into the show is great. And I think companies are working on that right now.
So did you ever get any company that said, we've got our 30-second TV commercial, just run that? And
Yeah, I mean, Options Express, they sent us the most horrific, ad, and we just spliced it up a little bit to make it less horrific. And, but because they're learning too about what this is, you know what I mean? Everybody's just kind of testing. I just think it's taken longer than I would have hoped. You would have thought Google and Yahoo would have been more focused on creating a way to really solve this problem, and they haven't. I mean, they are, but they haven't pulled it together.
one of the things you did, I think, that when you started the advertising is, and on the podcast, we've talked about, I'm not a big fan of asking your audience what they think about the ads, because most of the time it's going to be the people saying, it sucks, and I'm not going to listen ever again, or watch ever again.
Yeah.
Did it matter to you? I mean, did you take feedback from them to make any changes to how the ads looked or what they ran like?
No. You just can't, because if you ask an opinion, you have to trust your instincts, obviously, unless you really don't know. But if you ask, my wife is a lawyer, and she just, before she can make up her mind, she asked 50 people, and then she realizes she got 50 different answers, and then you're caught. And I think that's a mistake. I think you got to trust your instincts, and I'm a big believer in, taking a few trusted people's advice, and then saying, you know what, we're going to go this way. But the great thing about web and podcast and doing this is you do another show tomorrow. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
And one question I forgot to ask about the advertising is, did you try to tie up longer-term contracts with advertisers to try and to do a 6-month?
We tried to get one-day deals. I mean, honestly, we did not get any good feedback about long-term deals. Everybody was still looking at the time of the deal.
And when they do that, if we say, if you want to sponsor my podcast, it's $1,000, and
Right.
they said it's $50, and you say, well, I don't have a sponsor. Should I take the $50, or should I stay firm until I get the price that I think it's worth?
That's the question, and I think that's the key question. We didn't even get those $50 offers, so I can't say whether we did. I would have taken it and figured out a cheap way to do it, but obviously not $50. But we didn't get those $3,000 offers or those $2,000 offers. So that's why CBS makes more sense for a CBS. They already have those guys spending millions of dollars on their budget. They give them a free taste of what it looks like to be on the web, and they can do all that stuff. In the end, you can hate TV, but they still have the cash flow, and they still have the relationships to make stuff happen. So I think you got to figure out a way. The question was, would you go the syndication route? You still got to figure out a way to work with these animals, but you still got to go about it your own way.
And then if long-term goals, you don't think that another show, you do another show this again, you try to do it with a subject that you're passionate about. That was it.
Yeah, the only other subject I was joking about yesterday is sleep. I'm addicted to the fact that I can't sleep, and I think there'd be a show around, that came on the web every day at a certain time to put you to sleep. Sponsored by Ambien or something. So that's something that I would have passion for, because I'm troubled by my lack of sleep. But so if anybody wants to take that idea, I'd be interested in getting involved in a sleep show.
Okay.
But that's about the only other idea I've had.
Okay. Howard, I appreciate it. Thanks for the time today. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody, for coming. Thank you. So the exhibit hall opens at 10 o'clock. That's in about 10 minutes. And then the sessions start at 10:30. Thanks very much for coming. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.